Everybody, I'm Pradeep Satwamaya. I am part of the yoga team at shwasa.com, the online platform for live online classes. Some of you must be practicing already at Shwasa. Some of you may be new to it. Today, we will talk about Yoga Teachers Training Course, YTTC. We'll talk about what this program is and why anybody would be interested in doing it. What would you get and what does it entail doing such a program? And I'll start with some slides talking about what this yoga teacher training program is. And post that, I'll open up for questions. That's also probably a time to get to know all of you. I can see your names, but beyond that, I don't know much. But so maybe at the end, when you have some questions, you could just unmute yourself and then we get to know each other. I'll answer your questions as well. I hope that's all clear. Is my voice clear? Can you see my slide, my screen for now, while I prepare to show my slide? Can you guys see the slides now? Yeah, everybody, just quick yes or...
Yes, Pradeep.
Yeah. You're also most welcome to send comments if you have any questions. Ideally, we save the questions for later. But anything you want to put it in the comment box so that you don't forget, go ahead and do it. I would also request everybody to mute yourself. And that way we could very, focused on just the slides and everybody else can hear me clearly. Thank you, everybody. Okay, let's get started. I hope all of you can see the slide moving. Welcome to Shwasa and welcome to this webinar on a weekend morning. I'm glad some of you could make time to come and participate here. I'll be to the point and hopefully it's useful information that you take back and hopefully all of your questions about the teacher training course would be answered. Well, like I said earlier, I'm Pradeep and I have been with Shwasa since we started this online platform for live classes. And there were a lot of recorded classes available online on the internet, on LMSs and also on YouTube, but then nothing like a live class. I mean, the difference in experience and the progress a student makes, a practitioner makes on the journey is very different. And so we believe in live classes and that's what we do at Shwasa. I'm formally educated in yoga. I've done a master's course in yoga about 20 years back, and then it's been teaching yoga, sharing this knowledge ever since. Initially, yoga started out as just a health practice. People who had some health conditions or who believed that practices like asanas, the pranayamas, the breath practices and meditation could help, started doing yoga. Later, I've seen that in my experience that a lot of people with other objectives have joined practicing yoga and went deeper into discovering what yoga really is and how to use that for whatever else they're using for apart from health. But health remains the biggest objective that people come to yoga for. I've been teaching yoga for about 23 years, but I've also been training teachers for about 18 years now, meaning certifying teachers, because turn of the century, yoga became popular, and became mainstream, but there was still a gap in having qualified teachers. And that's where I had to start teaching others to become teachers so I could also employ them in my own chain of yoga studios. And so that's where this educational bit started, and I continue to do that. And I'll share from my 18 years of experience in certifying teachers. And this whole slide, the further slides will contain that information, the insight that I've had through that 18 years of experience. All right, a quick slide on agenda. We'll talk about what is Yoga TTC, what is it actually about, and what are the professional standards when it comes to a certification and someone is going out to teach there. And so we'll talk about what is available under yoga. Why do a yoga program? 5 benefits of doing such a program. I'll also talk a little bit about the course that's run here at Shwasa, how it's broken down, and what is the time and effort that you need to put in to complete a course like this. Obviously, we'll open up for question and answers. Anything personal, I will answer your questions at the end of it. All right, let's start off straight away with what is Yoga TTC. The name is pretty obvious, Yoga Teacher Training Course. Look at it as a formal education in yoga. First and foremost, we practice yoga, we go to a yoga class, attend a class, do our practice, but we are not really formally being introduced or educated in, say, the principles of yoga, the philosophy behind it, the history of yoga. Very rarely we get to learn these in a regular yoga class. And so a course like this would be a good first step, formal education in yoga. And next obvious question is, why would you want to be formally educated in yoga? Obviously, if you want to improve your practice, we all believe that yoga asanas, yoga breath practice is all working really well. But how do we draw the best out of such a practice? How do we make this practice more efficient for us? And that is only by practicing according to certain principles of yoga. Without that, it becomes a mere physical practice, and it might have its own benefits, just doing physical activity daily. But you may not draw all that you can through a practice like the yoga asana, the pranayamas. So principles, knowing what kind of a philosophy is backing this practice, is going to change how you practice yoga, and is also going to change what you get out of the practice of yoga. So we're looking at benefits and applications of yoga as well, in the sense that if I do this, and this practice, how would I benefit from it? But on the other hand, you can also look at this as, I have a certain requirements, conditions, limitations. What practices should I do? Will yoga help me with this application? And so in a course like this, you learn beyond just doing the practice. You'll understand where it can be used, how it can be used, how much to use, and when not to use. And all of this will lead to a kind of tailor-making of your personal practice. So that yoga sadhana, yoga is usually done over many years, right? Decades even, 20, 30, 40 years is how people practice yoga. And if you're going to do such a long practice, part of your life, everyday life, it better be tailor-made to your needs, your abilities. And also, we understand that we are changing constantly. Physically, we are changing. Physiologically, there are a lot of changes that happens in each one of us. And psychologically, socially, our needs are changing. And so the practice needs to be tailor-made. It cannot be a group practice forever. I mean, group practices are fantastic, and there's a very different kind of energy, motivation that we draw from a group practice. But along with group practice, at some point, you need to come to this, very structured, very tailor-made approach to the practice. Of course, obviously, when you have all such knowledge and you can use it for yourself, now extend this to others. When someone comes and asks you, hey, I'm curious in learning yoga, will yoga help me? Will you teach me yoga? That's very obvious next step when you are starting to use yoga for yourself. And you gained a certain knowledge. of how to use it, when to use it, and how long, what kind of a frequency, and what kind of intensities needs to be practiced. Teaching yoga would be a very obvious next step. And not all of us might go out to teach, but it's the need of the hour. People want yoga, and people are looking for good yoga teachers. And also because there is a lot of watered down version of yoga. These days you can get a lot of information on the internet. Most of it may not be accurate. Most of it might be, kind of seems yogic knowledge, but it's actually not. And so you need to be able to identify what is the right yoga practice, what is not a yoga practice, what is not a yoga approach, and use it for yourself and for people you love. Usually it's going to be your children, your friends from work, or friends otherwise, who will come to you and ask, hey, can you teach me yoga? Or you might take up the step to teach yoga to the larger community. Irrespective of that, you want to give the best to people. So getting that authentic yoga is going to be very important. So all of this put together is what a yoga teachers training program is. So it goes beyond just that 1 hour of practice we are used to doing in group class. Now, standards, there are a couple of standards used. In India, Ayush Ministry, the government of India's Ayush Ministry, a wing that deals with practices like yoga, Ayurveda, Unani, Siddha, homeopathy, and that's called Ayush Ministry. And they have a standard. And in the US, Yoga Alliance USA, a nonprofit organization, has set up some standards when it started becoming popular, but yet not in the this kind of a mainstream medical practice. And so it had to be an independent organization that started this. And so these two standards are very valid in yoga. If you're in India and if you want to teach, and this certificate, Ayush Ministry certificate, is valid across the world. It's a government certificate. They have 7 levels, level 1 to level 7. All of this different phases of your journey with yoga and different application. From being a yoga instructor to becoming a yoga teacher, yoga master, or therapy, healing people. And so there are various levels, level 1 to level 7. Yoga Alliance, on the other hand, is not a certification. It is a listing. Most teachers who follow these standards, all teachers who follow the standards of Yoga Alliance are listed under their site. And so they don't necessarily go out and certify people, but they set a certain standard, and everybody following those standards are registered and listed under the site, Yoga Alliance. And you might have heard of the standards like RYT 200, RYT 300. It simply goes on to talk about the number of hours that you've gone through a formal education of yoga. Registered yoga teacher, 200 level. Registered yoga teacher at the 300 level. And then, of course, other specializations like prenatal yoga, children's yoga, and continuing education, various. So for now, these two are the standards. Most other countries would either follow Ayush Ministry or Yoga Alliance across the world. There are not many. There are certain independent organizations in different parts in Europe. There are independent organizations in Australia, even in India, multiple organizations, independent, non-governmental organizations. But at the top, you would look at probably only these two, Ayush Ministry and Yoga Alliance USA. All right, next is, why do a yoga TTC? Now, what could be the reasons? One is very obvious. You've been practicing for some time. I want to go deeper into the practice. And if I have to go deeper, I need to really understand the authentic yoga, the right principles, the right approach to yoga. And so I need to go to the source books and read the history and the evolution of yoga. And then I'll be able to deepen my practice of yoga. And that's a very obvious reason why people would. Second one, we talked about this, that saying tailor making this practice, because we'll be doing it for long, is also why people would take formal education from, say, scratch, and then go through all kinds of topics of philosophy, anatomy, physiology, and health and Ayurveda, diet, multiple things that go along with the practice. And so you'll pick up all of that in a course like Yoga TTC. And so people who are interested in making this, very personalized and intending to practice for long would also take up a course like this. Apart from just doing yoga, if someone wants to thrive in their chosen career, be it business, be it a sports person, be it a parent, be it an artist, dancer, you will see that practice of yoga will enhance everything else you're doing in life. Because yoga is to do with ourself, our body, our mind, subtle cells, sense organs. And the better we understand ourselves, the better we are expressing ourselves in whatever we are. Someone needs to mute your. Hold on, let me check. Please, everybody, check if you've muted. I'm not able to find. Okay. So thriving in whatever you're doing is going to be one other reason why people join yoga. In my last so many years of certifying people, I've had a lot of them who didn't want to, teach yoga, but wanted to be better at whatever they're doing. And they've benefited immensely through practice, to a deeper understanding of yoga, because yoga is about knowing about yourself, knowing truly who you are, your strengths, your limitations, and that is only going to make you a lot more connected to what you're doing, whatever else you're doing. However we interact with everything around us, the elements around us, knowing yourself better is going to make sure that you are putting out your best self out there in whatever you choose to do, be it physical, mental, or whatever choose as part of your career. Of course, sharing yoga with family and friends, that I already talked. And more than anything, people at some level start to realize that this will shape a certain lifestyle. Because yoga is not just for health, or not for just to improve my mental abilities or my physical abilities, but soon it starts to shape a certain lifestyle choices that we're going to make, be it food, be it other choices we make throughout our day and throughout our life, because the philosophy is pretty sound, and philosophy is going to help make those choices. And so finally, lifestyle, or approaching a life goal, having a life goal and going after it, these are the kind of reasons I would say that people take up yoga teach training program. Quickly about the course details. It is a 200 hours program. Like we saw earlier, there are certain standards, and the first one is a 200 hours standard that one has to get into, meaning you have to complete 200 hours of education with the teacher. And some of that is in person, and some of that is independent, what we call asynchronous learning. But further breakdown of what do you do in that 200 hours, how much of practice, how much of theory, how much of assignments and other things, I'll just share a quick breakdown. As is a very flexible program, meaning on the weekdays, you'll start practicing whenever you can through all those classes available to you on Shwasa. And those classes will automatically be accounted against your name, saying that, okay, you've done 5 hours of asana practice this week. And over a period of time, you need to accumulate 120 hours. That's a requirement as per standard, 120 hours of daily practice. And you can, usually end up taking 4 to 6 months to complete this. On an average, doing about 4 to 5 hours a week. you will need that much time. This is not only about asana, you'll also be doing some breath practices, meditation, yoga nidra, and so many other practices, all included. It'll all be recorded as practice, daily practice. And this is during the weekday. Now on the weekend, we have special TTC sessions, and that happens in the mornings on Saturdays and Sundays. We have about 16 such classes, and each one lasting for about 3 hours. 3 hours on Saturday and 3 hours on Sunday. And you'll cover about 50 hours of these weekend classes. This is largely about, one is summarizing what we practice during the week. There will be theory practices or theory topics introduced to you, philosophy, anatomy, yoga textbooks, teaching yoga, and various such other topics that are required to complete the course will be done on the weekend. So 120 hours daily practice, you will choose a class and you'll practice. Weekend specific special classes available only for people who enrolled, and we'll go through different topics over those 3 hours on each day. So in about 2 months, you'll be able to complete this whole 50 hours. But if you want to repeat it again, you're most welcome. You can, some of these topics, philosophical topics especially, need, for us to visit it multiple times and relook at the topic through multiple viewpoints. Next is assessment. There's an assessment midway and also end of the program, written and practical assessment. And then we have 20 hours of apprenticeship that you'll have to do, especially if you want to teach and get a certification to teach, to qualify to teach, then you'll have to do this apprenticeship, or you will be an assistant teacher to the main teacher in the class. And you'll learn about how the class planning is done, how to execute it, you'll watch, you'll assist, and multiple things happen there. So that's the 200 hours that you need to complete. And there are some post-course requirements that you will have to do after the course, the post-course. Some assignments, some essays, and some personal practice, and all put together post-course. There's a certain number of hours you need to complete. Once you do that, you will get a certificate from Shwasa. And like I said earlier, this is a very flexible program. There are programs that run in a month, and fully packed 8 hours in a day for 20 days in a month. And there are such programs available as well. But I would recommend take it slow and keep practicing. And you need time to apply the principles that you pick up during, say, on the weekends or after reading, after doing an assignment. You need time to make it your own. Just gathering information is not the objective, but understanding it and starting to make it your own in your practice, in your daily life, is going to be the best way to embody yoga, and which means it requires time. You cannot rush through it. And so 6 months to 9 months time for you to slowly imbibe all of this and revisit and rethink and reflect and practice. Keep doing that over a period of 6 to 9 months, then it's all yours. You're most welcome to attend multiple batches, like I said, these two, those weekend classes. You can attend one more just to be clear or just to revisit the topic. Okay, so that's about the course, and the certification pathway is first you sign up for the course and you start practice immediately, right? The weekday practice and weekends also. There are classes happening on every weekend. You can join in at any time because anyway, the topics, the weekend topics are follow a cycle of 2 months, 16 classes, right? So 2 months on the weekends. You can join anywhere in the middle, or you would want to start at the beginning. That's also okay. But most of them find comfortable joining them in the middle as well, because they'll complete that module. Say they're doing philosophy when they join in. They would have done philosophy first before doing, say, Ayurveda, or just before doing a topic on health or history of yoga. But you will complete that in the next cycle anyway. And then once you complete all the hourly requirements of the course, then you take up assessment. There's one mid course assessment, but the final one is what you need to be clear. You've completed every requirement, and then you take up that assessment. and then post-course requirement is there. And once you satisfy all of that, you will be set. Now we might think, do I have to have prior knowledge of yoga to practice this course or to join this course? Actually not. But most of them have this goal that, okay, I'll practice for certain years, and probably they may not be thinking about doing a course, but the what happens when you practice for long, say for a few months, few years, is a very natural urge to go deeper. And so people end up doing a course like this. And so people who've been practicing for long and want to advance, get deeper is one group. On the other hand, like I said, not necessarily, even those who may not have any prior experience, but are healthy, physically, no major conditions or joint injuries, they also will join. In fact, sometimes it might be better without any past conditioning, I would say, because like I said earlier, a lot of multiple views and opinions and mostly contradicting ideas of yoga you will find across, books and internet and everything. And so sometimes it might be very difficult to even unlearn that and get into a course and get into the right knowledge. And so sometimes a clean slate would be a better way to start off. On the other hand, you might want to just say, I want to start from scratch. I don't want to, mess this up. I want to know what's the right thing, even if it takes time. I want to start the right way. And so I start from scratch. And so people take up a course like this without prior yoga experience. Healthcare professionals, if you're already a physical therapist, and if you're a nurse, if you're a doctor, I think this is a fantastic compliment. You must have heard of how yoga is good, and you might be recommending people, you should do yoga, say, after the surgery. But then to know really what yoga is and what are its benefits and what are its limitations. People claim that yoga can do everything, but actually not. There are certain things that yoga shouldn't be used for, I would say, rather than saying yoga cannot do it. And there are certain conditions where it works really well. And there are certain phases of the condition where it works well and where it may not work. So knowing that is going to be important. So if you're into health profession or a parent for that matter, right? We are health professionals in a way when you have parents, when you take care of your children on a daily basis. So we need to know what is right. And so these are people who will do yoga, and above all this, just want to improve yourself, better yourself physically, your health, physical health, mental health, your mental faculty sharpening, your body being healthier and agile. All of this, not only yourself, but also how you interact with people, our interpersonal relationships. If you want to improve that, yoga has multiple principles and practices that might suit you. All right, here's the certificate. Yoga Alliance Shwasa is registered under Yoga Alliance. So here's the certificate. You might go and check online. And that's the certificate that you'll get after you complete the course at Shwasa. Just a sample of the certificate. You might see that the logo down there, RYS 200, Registered Yoga School. So Shwasa is a registered yoga school under 200 hours. So that's a kind of certificate you will get. And any further information, you should contact Aradhana. She's here. Aradhana, you would like to turn on the camera if you're available. But anyway, she'll reach out to you now that you're.
Yes, I'm here. Hi, everyone. I'm here. Yeah, I mean, if everyone can also, if we can connect over a call, if you can send in your preferred time and the best mode of connect on chat even now, I'll be very happy to call you back immediately.
Super. Thank you, Aradhana. The email ID is there. You can always reach out. The phone number, Shwasa phone number, just call out and say, I want to know more about the yoga teachers. And so that's about what I had to share about the course. But now I'll open it up for you guys to ask any specific questions, anything personal to you, or anything that I missed out or you wanted to know about the course. Please go ahead.
Hi, this is Komal. I have a question about, you said that during the learning sessions, some of the classes will happen in person. So what will be the situation for people who are living not in India and outside abroad? So how that can be taken care, and what will be the place where it's going to?
Sorry, can you repeat that, Komal? The voice got cut a little.
Okay, yeah. So I was saying that that 200 hours, that includes the in-person practice as well, right? Rather than
No.
just being online.
This particular course is fully online. There is no in-person. So since COVID, right? So earlier there was a requirement, these bodies, Yoga Lands and also Ayushman Studio, requirements of in-person, certain hours that has to be in-person with the teacher. Here, what in-person would mean is live classes, as in online live. So there's no need for an in-person interaction since COVID. They've made it a little more flexible so that people can continue to study yoga. And so there's no need to meet anywhere. But I'll be very glad to catch up with you if you're anywhere in India, or we could talk about that while we are in the course. So I think that was the question, right? Where is this going to be, or when it is going to be?
Yes. And about the assessment as well. So everything is, I'm assuming, happening online or virtual.
Absolutely. You know what the online format has done is it's helped us. I mean, now many universities run their programs online, right? And schools, and we know that education has gone online. And so a lot of the tech aspects have been included to make this assessment or learning first and foremost, and then the assessment of that learning possible. And so we have all those put in place, and so it will be on.
And
so one thing you need to have in mind is, sorry, Komal, I just think, assessment is not just one-time written assessment or a practical assessment. It begins with, your attendance part, your participation in class, your assignments, and the regularity with which you attend classes and complete your classes, and post-course requirement, your research that you do on your own, and the application of all that you've learned. And so multiple of these things put together is how you're assessed, and not just one written quiz that you get at the end of the course. And if you do well, so I just wanted to make that clear. You had one more question, Komal. Go ahead, please.
No, I guess that was the No. I'm fine now.
Sure, Komal. Anybody else would like to ask any questions? Anything at all? Just go crazy. Don't. I mean, about the course, I mean. Yeah, Pedro? Okay, I have a question in the comment box. I have a flexible issue even as a student. How can become a yoga teacher if I'm not flexible? You mean body flexibility, right? Would I be able to overcome this issue? Surely, I think, as a student, you just go there into a class in a group setting and you're starting to figure your body's limitation all by yourself in a group setting, right? But on the other hand, in a course like this, you will learn the complementing factors. Inflexibility is not just that my bones are just there are multiple factors that involve in a person being flexible, in the sense that flexible enough to do our everyday job, right, very efficiently without getting hurt or without stressing the system. So multiple things, I would say, how to do the practice is the first thing, how to do it rightly, safely, with the right alignment. And obviously there is also the food part that plays a big role in flexibility, and other mental approaches also contributes to stiffness or being more flexible. So we'll approach flexibility part in multiple practices. And inflexibility is not just limited to some people, and it's actually for everybody. And once we stop practice, no matter how flexible we are, the moment you stop practice, the body's natural tendency is to become inflexible. And so this is a common problem. Everybody goes through it. Even the most flexible people go through it at some point in their practice or in their life. And so figuring out how to come out of this will actually make you a good teacher, because it's a common problem. Same with weight. Managing weight through yoga will actually make you a better teacher, because you've gone through this journey yourself. You understand how this works. And so the whole idea of a certain eligibility, this notion that I have to be very flexible to start taking up a course like this and becoming a teacher, it's an old school idea. But obviously you need to understand the practice. See, your effort that you keep putting in the right direction you need to go, that you need to know. How the body responds is dependent on various factors. And so that alone cannot be what we can depend on, right? But I am putting in my effort. I understand maybe my the changes that happen in my body is slower than others. Maybe it's faster. Maybe it has a different curve altogether. Maybe a certain missing element there. Maybe something inherent in me. So multiple factors. But as long as you are on the right track, you pick up what is right to do. How is that I need to approach? It might take 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, but I know the direction. So that is what I would say about not being flexible, and why should I take up the course? I'm not even flexible. You will figure out that there are a lot of things that we may not be able to do in a group class. And those weekend classes, when you come and you pick up a certain philosophical idea, or you pick up an anatomy idea, alignment idea, food, then you go back to the class on the weekday, you start incorporating that, it changes. Sometimes you just have to stick to the practice for a little longer. Maybe that's the only answer. So multiple things, but if that I would say that shouldn't stop you from taking a course.
Vijay and Tanu have raised their hands, Pradeep.
Vijay, please go ahead.
Hey, hello. Yeah, so probably I might have joined a little late. Quick questions like, you said 200 hours, 100 hours, 300 hours. What is the difference of these hours?
See, since teaching yoga in groups is a new thing, I would say. In the history of yoga, if you look at, say, very formal history of yoga, you would say, if you say that is around 2,500 years since the classical book Yoga Sutra was compiled, it's always been one-on-one. The teacher would teach the student based on their particular need. Now, in the last 100 years, people have started to use yoga for other purposes, like health, physical health, mental health. And it's become a mass practice, as in people practice in groups in multiple places. And so the yoga teacher is a new concept. Obviously, the standards that govern that are also new, right? Because yoga teacher itself is a new concept. Teacher as in who's going to teach multiple classes in a day and group classes, helping people with health. So these standards were set recently, about 40, 50 years ago, I would say, and Ayush Ministry more recent, about 7, 8 years ago. And so they figured out that a certain number of hours is a minimum requirement for someone to learn and teach yoga. So they arrived at somewhere around 200, 250 hours is required for you to qualify at the first level. This is just a
Okay, I think I got
to
it. So it's
experience that
basically the
you-
level, like, how much
it's a level,
experience and
yes.
okay,
So
got
many
it. Okay, cool.
hours of education is what they claim, right? It's
Right.
just like
Okay.
if you fly, if you're flying.
No, I got it. I mean, say I have been associated with the other things, so I can see why they say like a flight, right? Your pilot, right? You need to train like,
qualify a certain
200,
number of
300, whatever it is, right? So the second question is that, so in the weekdays, it's going to be on demand, right? Whenever the time permits, go and start doing. And in the weekend, it's a group classes, and those groups, again, like the name itself says group classes, so there will be a bunch of students and a senior trainer who is going to train. Is that how it works?
Yeah.
Okay.
So all of them, the weekend classes will only be people in the course. It's not
in the course. I see. So that is
who enroll
exclusively
for
for
the
the.
course. Yeah, it's only for them, specific to just the people who enroll.
Okay, and the course begin and end, can we pick which when we want to start, or
Yeah,
they
you
start
can
like
pick when you
I
want
can
to
pick?
start.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely, Vijay. You
Okay,
can
cool.
start, which is why we wanted to keep it flexible. You see, because
Flexible.
earlier
Okay, got it.
very few people
No,
were able to even
yeah.
take this course. But the application is universal. Anybody, if I look at, go back to the slide and say, who can start, do a course, who can benefit, you'll see that almost all of us can in some way or
Can
the
do. Okay.
which means we
Right.
need to make it possible for everybody to do this course. So yeah, you can start anytime.
Any age requirements or
Not really.
physical requirements?
Like I said, you should be no major physical conditions like joint conditions or back pain. Back pain as in worse, like say a split disc or an accident. Those
Okay.
group setup may not be the ideal way to learn in those cases. It's better one-on-one there. But
Okay.
at least physically fit. And if you're already doing some physical activity by yourself,
Yeah.
yoga, or you run, or you walk, you swim, you play a sport, and that's pretty good.
Okay, all right, got it. So if someone already started doing this and they have some previous experience, some hours of previous experience, anything can be considered towards these 200 hours of certification, or it has to be from the, reset and start here?
It has to be from the start, only for the 200 hours. But what happens after the 200 hours is your other education will be counted as continuous education.
Okay, got it.
That is a requirement every year. You need to accumulate X number of continuous education
hours. So it is like one is you get the base hours one time to be certified, and then you keep practicing to renew your
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Accumulate those education
Oh,
multiple means also outside the school, maybe through a doctor, through an Ayurvedic, so multiple ways.
I see.
Tanu has a question.
Yeah, go ahead. I think let others talk.
Sure. Hi, Tanu. You had a question.
Yeah. Hi, Pradeep. Thank you so much for the share out. It's very useful. My question was actually about, do we need to renew this by giving assessments every year? I think partly you answered it in Vijay's question, but yeah, if you can address it.
Very valid question. Both Ayush Ministry is a certification. Indian government is a certification, which means you need to take up an exam with the Ayush Ministry. Okay, that is valid for 3 years. Every 3 years you need to take this. Yoga Alliance, you get listed. Even though you're getting listed, you have to go through a certain qualified school. So obviously, this is also annual thing. Annual fee is there for you to get listed on the site Yoga Alliance. You need to also maintain a certain number of continuing education that I was just talking to Vijay about, right? After your certification, in the next 3 years, you need to have covered about 75 hours of continuous education to maintain your certificate. Apart from that, you pay your annual fee and you can continue, being listed on that site. So anybody who would want to employ you or anybody who wants to check you out, saying that are you qualified, are you listed somewhere on a authentic, third-party place, standard, to check the standard, what standard are you qualified at, they might independently go to the site and they look up. But you can also look up Shwasa Yoga Academy on Yoga Alliance. You'll find our school, when did we join, being a part of Yoga Alliance, and what are the courses we run, and so all of that. And people who graduate from our school will also, it's voluntary. You can list yourself if it's required. But if it's not required, most of them don't bother listing if they're not teaching. But most of people who teach will go ahead and list, pay this annual fee and list.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Anybody, any other questions about?
Hello.
Yes.
Just a question. Yeah, I live in the US. I just wanted to find out if I can still do this training as well. And then my second question is, can this also be considered as a full-time job after the training?
Yes. Your name is Madhuoka, right? Madhu.
Yes.
Madhuoka. Oh yeah, maybe I got it wrong.
Yeah, that's fine.
Sorry?
That's fine, Madhuako.
Madhuako, okay. Hi, Madhuako. See, you are in the US, and Yoga Alliance is a body in the US. Okay, so which means qualifying under Yoga Alliance is a requirement for you to teach in the US. In the absence of a governmental body, this will serve really well. You can also get your insurance done through Yoga Alliance and all of that as you go on to teach, right? And the second question you asked was, can this be a full-time job? Absolutely. I mean, the one reason why a lot of people want to become yoga teachers is because it opens up possibilities. One is you can do it full-time, which means you'll end up doing about 4 to 5 hours of teaching every day. Nowadays it's online, so you will be spending 4 to 5 hours of teaching different groups or individuals on a daily basis. That's usually a full-time role. Or you might join a local health club or a studio, yoga studio, and start teaching there. Now, apart from that, you can choose how many hours you want to teach on a daily basis. Maybe you only want to teach on the weekend. You have a full-time job or a different job on the weekday. You stick to it, and weekends you want to teach. That's a lot of people just do that. Some people just choose 1 or 2 classes a day. They still have a full-time job, but early morning 1 class and an evening 1 other class. And that's also how many people take this up. So you have all kinds of options, full-time option to part-time as well.
All right, thank you.
Hope that answered the question. It's a full-time job in the US, especially. You know, there are there are enough yoga teachers now that yoga is everywhere in the corner of the US. So very recognized. Hospitals and schools are slowly opening up. The institutions are opening up. Corporates are opening up for yoga. Right now, the major opportunity would be on your own as a freelancer or with a health club or a yoga studio. But very soon, these institutional openings will come up. You know, like school, yoga in hospitals or old age homes, yoga, say, in corporates also, in workplaces. And so all of this is going to open up very soon. As in, there are activities going on, but it's not to the scale that it can reach. So it will open up very soon once this is standardized even more and accepted. Pedro, you have a question? Okay. Anybody else has a question? Everyday training for the course, we can easily manage. Yes, absolutely, Komal. Every day, people right now, if I have to give you the example of the batch we have right now, all of them have full-time jobs or they are doing their own stuff. But then on a daily basis, it's more like doing your own personal practice, right? For health, you would take out an hour and a half every day to do practice. It's like that on a daily basis, on the weekdays. And weekends is where you will have to make up your mind and be able to spend that morning 3 hours with us on Saturday and Sunday. And on the other hand, all classes are recorded. If you miss for one Sunday, you miss out and you had some emergency, every one of those classes recorded is available to you. And even if you attend the class, the recording is available for you to review. And so, it is meant, like I said earlier, it is, it's such a beautiful practice that almost every one of us can benefit from this. So we wanted to make it more accessible by opening up. And so working, definitely, if you're working, you have a full-time job, this program is built so that it suits everybody. All right, if no further questions, I will close. We will reach out to you. I know you've shown interest, you spent this morning time with us. Firstly, thank you, everybody, for being here. And we will reach out to you, and maybe we'll have a conversation one-on-one if you like that, and see if there is something that you want to get cleared before you think about a course like this. So all of you take care, have a wonderful weekend. And I'll see you all soon. If you join the course, I'll be in the course as a faculty. Even otherwise, I'll see you in the classes at Shwasa. Take care. Namaste.
Thank you.
Take care.
Namaste.